Anger is an emotion designed to change things. We get angry when we want somebody to do something different, start doing something, stop doing something. And I could not agree more that there is an enormous emotional concern going on with COVID now. And for me, part of it is actually the stress response. So under acute stress, our body activates to protect ourselves from a predator. Our heart rate increases, our blood pressure increases, our immune system actually changes in case we get bitten by a predator. We don't want to get an infection. Our clotting factors change. We clot more so that we don't bleed out if we're bitten by a predator. But under chronic stress, all those same things are happening. So under chronic stress, people are at risk for heart attacks, for blood clots, for strokes, for type 2 diabetes, for high blood pressure. And after enough time, there was this fascinating study done on these fish. I know it sounds sort of silly because they're fish, but bear with me. I won't be floundering on this one. But they had a maze, and the fish knew that if they got through the maze, there would be food at the other side of it. And so some fish just went right through. Other fish got into the maze and then sort of weren't sure what to do and eventually got through. And some fish never even tried to go into the maze. They just didn't even try. And when the scientists measured the cortisol levels, cortisol is the stress hormone. When they measured the cortisol levels, they found that the fish that never even tried had the highest levels of cortisol. It was as if they were defeated before they even started. And that is my concern with what's happening now. In my program at Riverside, where I'm chief medical officer, Riverside Community Care, we have congregate care sites where we have these folks who are taking care of other people, and we have to have that staffed. And we had all sorts of policies and protocols in place when it comes to masks and hygiene, all this stuff. And we're finding that some of the staff just aren't wearing masks. And our HR people are angry with them, saying, you know, you're not following protocol. But what I think is happening is I think they've just given up. I don't think they're being oppositional or defiant. I think they feel defeated because physicians, other people are now saying, oh, it's not whether you get COVID, it's when you get COVID. We can't give that message.
No.
Because that's just going to make us all feel defeated. We'll have this chronic stress. That, I think, is what's happening in our country, maybe in the world. This idea that it doesn't matter what we do. We're up against an enemy we can't beat. I don't believe that. We have way more ability. Human beings, if nothing else, are survival machines. I mean, we've done pretty good, but we're up against a virus. What we need to do is just be aware of it and respect that some people don't believe in the virus. Well, that's fascinating. Let's try to figure out why that's their I am. What is going on that the best they can do is not believe in the virus and other people can? And if we can treat everyone with respect, respect leads to value, and value leads to trust. And without that trust, we're not going to be able to understand why some people say, forget it, I'm just going to come in and expose all of you potentially to death. I mean, if they don't believe that they're going to expose people to death, that's one thing, as opposed to saying, I know that I'm going to kill you if I don't wear a mask. Those are two different things.
This,
right? I mean,
yeah, this ties in to where we left off last time we were talking about the fear response.
Mm-hmm.
How you said that there's fight, flight, freeze, and then you said, but there's also fawning.
Fawning,
which
right.
is the biggest critique of the IM is, well, are we just going to roll over for everyone then?
Right. right? The fawn response is when you're faced with a predator and you try to talk them out of killing you, right? And you're fawning. And some people feel that that is, you know, basically like being a wimp, as opposed to trying really hard to convince somebody not to hurt you. It's not quite the same thing as civility. I'm going to be talking about this with some other folks, but it's a really interesting experience that we're going through. Is there something positive, whether it's hybrid learning, remote learning, in-school learning? What is positive going to come out of this? Dave, you're smiling.
I can tell you my son struggled that year. He went back to school. He was a completely different student. He was 100% committed. It completely changed him. He is now an A student. And he wants to do really, really good in school. He wants to do his homework. And before COVID, that was not it. So whatever shifted in him, whatever the hard time was, he came out of it the other side going, I'm going to do my best now because school, I guess, means so much more.
So I'm curious, what do you make of that, Dave? I mean, remember, you're the expert in your kid. What do you think happened?
I really think it's that. I really think that because he always hated school. He didn't like school, and he would kind of do the least he could to get by. And I really feel like he came out of it valuing school. Like he really, really appreciates school now and appreciates what it is. And something just clicked. And as opposed to being there and just kind of, getting by, he's like, well, I'm here. I'm going to do my best. It's very much like, well, I went through a terrible situation, and that kind of school is so much worse than what I thought school was. So it's just a total appreciation.
Chris,
go ahead, Tom.
Just seeing Chris off. Thank you for coming on. It means a lot.
No, absolutely. I think this is an important conversation, and I'm glad you guys are having it. And again, more than ever, Dave, you're in a different world across the country from me, but it's going to hit ahead here because I was saying before you came on February 28th in Massachusetts, masks become optional.
And it's right after February vacation here.
That's right. And that's so, for me, it's a reckoning right now. Right now, for me, I'm on February break, and on Monday, the world is going to change. And, I do want to selfishly say, Dave, you seem like a great parent. I wish all mine were like you. I wish they were level-headed. You seem like a really great guy, and it seems like what you're doing for your kid, it sounds like you are doing what I wish a lot of parents were doing, taking it seriously and involving. And I wish you the best. I truly do.
And you too, man. I teachers, you just have it so hard right now. Like it's just.
So, go on, Chris. One more.
No. I just thank you guys so much for the conversation, and everyone have a good night.
So wait. Before you end, hold on. Time out. We're gonna end. And I got two questions for both of you.
Good.
Because it has to do with the IM. So if you remember the IM approach, everyone's doing the best they can, right? But we're influenced by these four domains: the home, the social, the biological, and the IC. Because the domains interconnect, a small change can have a big effect. You don't need to change everything. So I'm going to ask each of you, Chris first, what small change can you recommend to our listeners so that we can manage COVID and the educational system?
Again, I think that for me, what COVID exposed about people was a general lack of, for all we talk about standing together and as a community, I think that we don't listen to each other. And you said that, and I know Mark, you kind of insinuated that when you were talking about the news and stuff like that, and everything. I think that COVID stopped us from listening to each other. I think COVID stopped us from engaging in conversations. You brought it up, Dr. Joe, about the idea of wanting to uh, listen to other people and understand why they came to the opinions that they have. And for us to be able to move forward, I think we have to listen to people. And I think that we have to be able to have conversations. And as a teacher, I am forced to do that every day. I am forced into a classroom of kids who, from a diverse set of backgrounds, and one of the things that I challenge myself every day to do is to listen to them and understand where they're coming from and how they got there. And I think that COVID has exposed that we as a society need to do that more. And I think that we have to do better listening to each other. I think we have to do better engaging in real conversations with people about things. And to have a real conversation, you have to listen, and you have to really listen and not go in with a mentality of I am listening just for my moment to talk. I am listening because I want to hear what you have to say, and I want to understand where you are coming from, and then digest that, and then respond.
Yeah. Dave, I'm going to ask you that as well in a moment, but I know Chris has got to go, so I'm going to ask him the second part of the I am.
Sure.
The second part is everyone's got an I am. Everyone is interested through their IC domain in what you think or feel about them, which means you control no one, but you influence everyone. You get to choose the kind of influence you want to be. Christopher, what kind of influence do you want to be?
I've always prided myself on, I think that generally in my career, I've always been, I describe myself to my students as a way station that they stop off for a while and they get something that they need and they move on. And I think that I'm a very altruistic person, and my career has always been defined by helping people and by propping people up and helping them on their journeys, whether that's my staff at camp, whether that's my students, whether that's teachers that I'm mentoring. I think that is how I would define my purpose in a way.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. I know you got to run because you got school tomorrow.
Oh no, I just got to get up early. Tomorrow it's vacation. I just got to get up early and.
Then what are you rushing off for, Chris? All right, we'll see you. Thanks so much for coming here tonight. Appreciate it.
Dr. Joe, thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thanks. Dave,
Thank you.
Same questions for you. Small changes can have big effects. What kind of small change can you recommend to our listeners?
I mean, as far as a small change that has big effects, I think that every concerned parent needs to be vocal and involved. And most importantly, I think we all need to ask for a clean indoor air act of some kind. We need to demand clean air inside our buildings. And it's a very simple thing to do. It's we all know how to do it. It's, they have the systems. But I think that everyone just needs to get involved and ask for the basic things. I think a lot of people, like you said, they've given up. I think one of the ways they've given up is they just don't feel that their school boards or their whatever will do anything. And I think you just need to ask for what you want, because the loud people who are angry are getting what they want, and the rest of us, it seems to be very quiet. But the majority of people want masks in schools. Every single poll says that. It's like 60 to 70%. So everyone just needs to say what they want, instead of being quiet and acquiescing to whatever this is, Speaking.
Yeah, that's not what a mask is meant to do. A mask isn't meant to muffle you. just because you're wearing
Yes.
a mask.
Yes,
Right.
that's right.
And then the second, you control no one, you influence everyone. You get to choose the kind of influence you want to be. Dave Anthony,
I'm
kind of influence.
I'm very big on telling the truth and being sort of blunt about it. So it's sort of what my podcast is. So I really believe about helping people get knowledge of what has been and what is now. So that's sort of always been my thing, but it's make people understand what is happening and help them sort of grasp it with the bigger picture and how it affects them. So it's really just giving people knowledge, which is what I always try to do. It's sort of my drive.
Wonderful. I'm curious. I know we're out of time, but and this is a question that you may not be able to answer. But how do you think people will look back on this time as a historian yourself, as a person who looks at history and challenges history and explores history? What do you think?
I think this is going to be seen as one of the darkest times in American history, if not the darkest time in American history.
Wow.
I think the lack of empathy is disturbing.
Mm.
And I think, Mark's right. I think the fracture is extraordinary. And I see it growing all the time. But I think we look back and second to slavery, I think this is the darkest time in our history.
So what do we do? What do we do?
Listen to the dollop.
I wish I knew. I mean, how do you teach people to care about other people? I don't know. It's such a monumental issue we're facing.
Yeah. Well, that is part of what we're trying to do, is to remind everyone that we actually all want the same thing, which is just to feel valued by somebody else. That's all we want. Think about every person you've ever met. The common thread that binds us is we just want to feel valued by somebody else. And what I'm saying is that at every and any moment in time, you can remind someone of their value. And whenever you remind someone of their value, you increase your own value, which is different than what we've been doing. We've been increasing our own value at the expense of somebody else's, and then are astonished that they do the same thing.
Yeah.
But we can do something different. We really can. So I so appreciate you giving us your time. Thank you so much for that gift. And
No, thank
Tom,
you. This was great.
Wonderful.
We'll love to have you back. Definitely. There's so much to cover. But
yeah, of course. This is the kind of things I love doing.
Great. You're welcome back anytime. Thanks so much. Mark, really appreciate your veracity and tenacity. And it is much more important to be proactive than to be reactive. This is Mark's slogan. It's a great one.
Good luck on your tour, Dave.
Thank you. Oh,
yeah,
that's a whole different animal.
Yeah, we'll come and see it. And hopefully we'll be able to come back.
Yeah, great. Of course.
Backstage afterwards and check out and meet you in person.
We'll give you tickets and all that. Yeah, good.
Oh,
yeah.
I'll hook you up.
Well, too fucking late for me. I already got front rows.
There you go.
I got the VIPs.
Oh,
And,
nice.
Son of a bitch. I knew. If I knew.
And I'm heading out to LA in a couple of weeks to see my youngest daughter, who's out there in Sherman Oaks. She's working at the Disney Studios as a music editor. So
nice.
It's a wonderful, wonderful part of the world. I'm very jealous that you're out there. It's fantastic.
Is it wonderful?
I get to surf all the time, so that's what I'm happy about.
Great. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Everybody, good night. Thanks for listening to the Dr. Joe Show.
Stay safe out there.
Bye, everyone.
Stretch the canvas, rush with madness. Is it sadness or just a show?